This is the another important topic. It is what is work group and what is domain, and what is the difference between work group and domain. Okay, so here it is. I am going to draw a diagram first, then I'm trying to explain it. Okay, guys. So you may not seen any domains. Any domains you may not seen, but you have seen work groups. How it is possible? So all our systems are a work group pieces only. All our systems are a work group pieces only. You want to check it. So basically, net accounts. Mine is a desktop. My role is workstation role. Okay, mine is a workstation. Sorry, actually I have to show you what is that. I'm a belongs to work group or a domain kind of stuff. Okay. Yeah, system. Go to about. Yeah, rename this PC. Advanced is showing, and so we'll go to advanced. So it is your belongs to work group. Your belongs to work group. You want to change it? Click on change. You can change the name of computer, but you cannot change from work group to domain. Member of domain, member of work group, member of domain, member of work group is there. I am putting here in this this close. Yeah, this one is important, right? So here it is. This pattern. I think this is good. Click change. Here it is. Yeah, this is enough. Okay, I'm not changing anything, guys. So I'm not changing anything. No. So whatever it is, I'm taking print screen. I will highlight something. Okay, see it is member of a domain or a member of work group. I cannot join into a domain because my Windows 10 is home edition. Home editions cannot join into domain. Remember that one. Cannot join into domain. Okay, so you will join into the either you are a member of a domain or you are a member of a work group. So the work group name is work group. The work group name is work group. Okay, so we'll see that one here. Okay, I'm going to take how to check you are a work group PC or a domain PC. Like that also you can take this thing. Okay, so yeah, here it is. My PC. Okay, so work group and domain part. Okay, so in this one, small points we have to rub it. So what is this? Reset image, replace image. We should not show our any identities. Okay. This only we can change the name, but we cannot change. Okay. Yeah. I think it is yeah, better. I think less visibility. Okay. Yes, you can see here it is. This is the settings. I went to about. On about, I went to rename this PC. There I got this advanced option. Okay. In this one, I click on change. The change it is showing like this. There you can see member of a work group, and also you can see the work group point here. You can also see the work group is showing here. Okay, and also you can see the work group is also here. So here it belongs to work group. If you are belongs to domain, it will shows member of domain. Here also instead of work group, it shows your domain name. Okay, all our PCs are basically work group PCs only. All our PCs are basically work group PCs only. Guys, here it is. Similarly, I am putting all these PCs side by side. Okay, so here it is. I have a 4 systems or 5 systems, all are in a work group. Exactly, because we are discussing about work group and domain. So I'm not going exactly point of work groups only. Only what is this work group? What is this work group? I'm not going there. Okay. So these are the PCs. So each PC, for example, each PC having its own name, right? Each PC having its own name of the PCs will be there. Each PC having their own user is also there. So for example, this PC name is, for example, PC1. Okay, and this PC is a PC2, PC3, PC4, PC5. So these are the name of the PCs. Okay, name of the PCs. Each PC having a user. Okay, each PC having a user. For example, each one I will put a username. From here we can take an example: Rajesh, Aksha, Akash, Arvaj, Kirti. So we'll see. Take it. Akash. So this PC2 is by Kirti. Deepak. Okay. Deepak. Easy names. I want 4-line things. Yeah, we can say Mansi. Anyone small names? A lot of people are disconnected, right? So currently people are not. Amarjit big name. Arvaz. Users. So what happened? I put a. These are the users of this piece. User names, right? PC name is that one. So then it is user names are like this. Akash, Kirti. These are login. Okay. So who is the administrator of PC1? Who is the administrator of PC1? Administrator account of PC1 is Akash. Automatically, he is the only one user. Okay, there is a 2 type of accounts are there: administrator account and a standard account is there. For example, PC1 administrator account is Akash. So what Akash can able to do it? What administrator account can able to do it? He can change the system properties. Like I want to change the settings, I can change the settings. I can install application. So what administrator account can able to do it? So you can change settings. can install application and uninstall. Okay, applications. You can install application, you can uninstall applications, application or applications. You can use any word, no problem. Okay, you change settings, you can give permissions. Okay. You can give permissions. Okay, he is the master of the PC. So Akash can able to control which PC? PC1. Which PC? PC1. And what key can able to do it? He can able to manage his PC. He can able to manage his PC. So Akash is managing PC1. The point is Akash can able to manage PC2? Is this Akash can able to manage PC2? So what happened?
No.
Very good. You cannot manage PC2. Okay, that is very big no. Why? Because of the account information of Akash stored in PC1. PC2 don't know about Akash. PC2 don't know about Akash. So the PC2 is managed by Kirti. PC3 is managed by Deepak. PC4 is managed by Mansi and PC5 by Arvaj. So they can change the settings, they can give the permissions, applications, uninstallation of applications, installation of applications, modification of settings means everything which comes in the settings only actually. Okay, so they are having their own administrator. Here it is. Akash can manage PC1 but not other PCs. Very simple, right? So this is the model of work group. This is the model of work group. Work group model, what happened? Every PC has its own administrator. The administrator can manage their PCs. No centralized administration is not there. No, nothing is. So to manage the PC1, we need a Akash. To manage the PC2, we need a Kirti. So they are having their own administrator. It's like a Akash is local administrator of PC1. Okay, so administrator account. So and what is the administrator account can able to do it like this? Can able to do it. Okay, so here it is. Akash is a local administrator. So similar point here it is. When it is come to the work group, in every PC having their own administrator. Every PC having their own administrator. So you can look at here I've written every system or a PC has their own administrator. Okay, every PC having their own administrator, and one PC user cannot log into another PC because the user's information stored in the respective thing only. For example, Kirti user information stored in PC1, not in other PCs. So Kirti cannot log into. Yeah, very good, correct. Very good, thank you. Very good. So that is really. So PC2 information stored in PC2, not in other PCs. So obviously Kirti cannot able to log into other PCs. Of course, we have to continue this point, but I didn't continue. I went to the other user. Okay. So Akash user information stored in PC1, not in other users. Akash cannot log into other PCs. So that is very simplest point. Okay, so 2 points it is covered. One user of one PC cannot log into other PCs, and users information stored in their local PC only. Local PC. No centralized control, no centralized administration. Who is administrating? The local PC's administrator account. Local PC administrator account can able to administrate the PCs. Okay, so this is a points in a work group, guys. Again, just we'll go to once again. It is a work group is a decentralized administration, no centralized control. Every PC or a system contains their own administrator. One PC user cannot log into other PC. User and password setting information stored in their own PCs only, means in the local PCs. Can control individually, can manage individually, not centrally. We cannot manage entire PCs. Sorry, where it is my diagram. Okay, we can manage. Akash can manage PC1 locally. We can able to manage locally. Okay, we cannot manage centrally. There is no centralized administration. More number of PCs difficult to manage. So this is about your work group, guys. Again, I'm going to explain some more points here. Look at this. So why it is, I put a last point, more number of PCs difficult to manage. More number of PCs are difficult to manage. For example, guys, this is my background theme. I use this background default Windows 10. After it is upgraded to a Windows 10, it is by default, it is showing like this. Just in case, think like this, just in case. I have a number of PCs are there. So I have a number of computers are there. So these computers, in my organization, I put a rule. This is happen in our organization also, in our class mainly. What happened? People are putting a different type of backgrounds. Some are putting like puppies. Some are putting puppies, dogs, puppies. Some are putting Avengers. Some are putting this Joker, DC Joker. Okay, Batman, Joker kind of stuff. Okay, some are putting some Fast and Furious cars. Sometimes any person like the managing department or anyone came and check it. If it is any plain background, no problem, or a normal scenery, no problem. But this is not good when if any officials or any organization people come and check the system, it is not good, right? So there's a lot of problems we will get it as a trainer, because a student do mistake, like he done something, when I was working in a different organization, that time it is very different. So that is a student ate a chocolate. He leave the chocolate wrapper in the keyboard desk. He leave the chocolate wrappers. And the management asking like, why didn't you check the chocolate wrapper is left like this? What you are doing? That is blah, blah, blah. And I said, I'm the trainer. I'm not a cleaner. I'm not a checker. Okay, if you want, you can sit and check it. Because a little arrogance is there. So that's not, I didn't like by a lot of people, that arrogancy. Arrogance is not good, guys. Ego and arrogancy, showing off ego, not ego. You can have ego without ego, you can't live. Okay, you can have a ego, but you cannot show that one. You can have an arrogance that you can use the arrogance in a proper manner. Don't show your arrogance. Okay, lot of things are there in a life, so try to understand. Okay, so I said, so you just, that's not my duty, right? But here it is. My point is the desktop. One day what happened? Some of my students, two girls, they put some nasty, not look good. Not look good. It is some kind of thumb or finger showing on the screen. So I scold them and immediately I make them to change. That is not look. They leave in evening. So then if someone is came and write an exam, or next day sir came and check it. It's not good impact, right? So this is not a good one. So you can put a god photo, but no volume. But if you good, it's not a good one, right? So they're showing the thumb or showing a finger, showing a finger kind of stuff. That kind of stuff is not at all good. Okay. So here's the case. I want to make everybody use only similar theme. Okay, only one kind of background. For example, I want to make them to use only some background things. For example, here it is saved pictures, scanned pictures, default pictures also there. I don't know. So then where is the default pictures? Onboard, iCloud, the camera roll. So there can be like this, or maybe a player. I don't know, that is one. Open word I know, but no, it is the pictures are not here, but you can find the default pictures in your picture folder, or maybe you will create some picture, or maybe I want to enforce them to use my background picture, or maybe my company logo. That is better, right? So better to use your background as a company logo only. You should not use any themes. I have a 4 computers are here. Think like that. Can I go to 4 computers? Change the background. Can I do it? 4 computers. Okay. Think like 10 computers are there. Okay. 50 computers are there. Little difficult. Little, not a little more difficult. But it's okay. 50 computers. I want to check their background. I want to change their backgrounds. Make sure that is the same background. Okay. So it is okay. But think like this. There is 100 computers, 200 computers, 500 computers. How can I control their desktop background? How can I control their desktop background if more and more members are there? Very difficult, right? I think understand, guys, the desktop background example. I'm using this default theme, but you can use different default themes also, right? So I am using, for example, company logo, or some motivational line. Some people use motivational lines. Okay, so or some message kind of on the background. So what I want to do it, I want to make the users to, I want to change the users desktop background. Okay, for example, I have a 5 computers, 10 computers. It's little okay, but I can go to each and every PC. I'll change the desktop background. But think like this: you have 100 computers. Lot of button on the administrator. Lot of button on the administrator. Under computers, each PC has to go and change their background. Difficult, right? Each PC like that. So 500 computers, 1000 computers, each PC there are going to change. That is not a easiest part. So what I'm doing is I need a server. It's a centralized server. I create a policy. I create a group policy kind of stuff, centralized group policy. I enforce these settings. I enforce this desktop background settings to every system. So whenever the users open the system automatically and on background, they will get my company logo, or some quotations with my company logo, motivations quotations. Okay. So like encouragement related like this, so that is the or warning. Okay. So what I have done from central PC, I'm enforcing settings to multiple things. Okay. So this is possible if you are in a domain, not in the work group. In a work group, you have to go to individual PCs. Every PC you have to go and do the setting. Okay. In a work group, you have to go to each and every PC, do the setting. Make settings by going to each and every PC. Okay, so you can make a setting, or you can change the setting, make a setting, or you can say change settings by going to someone put a message. I think by spelling is mistake. Yeah, I got it. I got it. By spelling is mistake. Multiple buys are there. Like this. BUI. Like you purchase something, buy. Buy. Buy person, buy something. Buy. Goodbye. Okay. So to make a change or a settings by going to each and every PC. That is a very difficult for an administrator. Okay, guys, this is about your work group. Okay, this is the challenge we are facing. Okay, in a work group, you have to go to each and every PC to the settings. In a domain, you can push the settings or enforce the settings from one server to everyone. So to manage that one, so we need a domain related. What is a domain? Here it is. It is a centralized administrator. It is a centralized administrator. Guys, again, I'm going to try a picture here. Same picture only. I think today we can only go with this part only. So Monday I will explain about DHCP, DNS, and then only remaining parts. Okay. This is because of domain controller. I am making a little bigger because it's represent a server, right? So it is, I'm telling it is a server. Okay. It is better to put it like this. Somewhat thickness. Next one is all our clients only. All our clients only. That is enough. So not required a very big thing. Example. I will tell why I put a little distance of from here. So now, so guys, this is my centralized server. That is my centralized server. The server is also called as domain controller here. In our scenario, it is a domain controller. So what makes it is a domain controller which controls the domain? No. Exactly say what is a domain and what is the work group and what is the definition of domain, what is the definition of things. Okay, guys, here is some PCs are there. My server name is always server A, and I have a PCs. Each PC I put a PC1. Now I am putting C1 because it's a small size of box sizes system symbol. That's why I put a C4, C5. Okay, so all PCs, all devices are connected in the network. Now this server is a domain controller. Okay, which controls the domain. Lot of things are about a domain controller is there, so we'll see that one. Okay, it is nothing but a domain controller. It is a centralized device. What is a domain controller? Centralized administration, centralized controller, which is nothing but a server. Okay, which is nothing but a server, and we call that server as a domain controller. Okay, you know, What is this domain controller contains? The domain controller contains a database. Name of the database is NTDS.DIT. NTDS.DIT. I think we have to better to take a little small size. Okay, if it is not visible, please check it once again. NTDS.DIT. Cannot increase this size also. NTDS.DIT, that is a database. What is this database contain? What is the database contain? User information, computer information, groups, resources, services, information. So that line I will give you later, but here it is. The first of all, I am giving you, it contains a computer information. I'm also removing this NTDS.DIT to increase a little size. Okay. So the computers are there. What are the computer names? The computers, the C1, C2, C3, C4, C5 are joined into the domain. Now the C1 computer, earlier it is an individual PC. Now it is in the domain. How to join in the domain? Already I given a picture. Here it is. Can you see this picture? You have to change member of domain. Earlier you are a member of workgroup. Now go to member of domain. Give the domain name. Entire domain having some name will be there. So put that domain name and click OK, authenticate and join. This is only to check the workgroup. But you want to join a domain, member of, go to domain, then you have to give the domain name. And then it will ask for authentication. Give the authentication, you can join. So once you are joined, you are the member of domain. Now I have a 6 PCs, but I join only 5 PCs out of all PCs. So this is the number of domain computers. These are the list of domain computers in this one. So I have a computer list. Okay. So domain database. Under domain, the domains are the computers are joined into the domain. So then list of the computers in the domain, it is showing here. Next, I am creating a users here. I'm creating users just for understanding. Okay, so like this. For example, user 1. So for easy part, I can tell it's user 1 is U1 is also very simple. Like I'm using a word U1 is very simple way. U2. Okay, I am creating another user name is U2 because it's a picture for understanding only. U3. U5. Why? Because it's a U4. Okay. And I have a multiple users are there, so you don't need to worry about it. So simple it is. I have a U6, U7, U8, U9, so finally U10. Many users, like you can put 100 users, 200 users, 1 million users also you can put it. So think like this. This is my server. The server name is server A, which is nothing but my domain controller, which is nothing but the server, and it is a domain controller. It is a centralized administration. In this centralized administration means in a domain controller we have a database. The database name is already I told NTDS.DIT. Still it is not enough space. Okay. What is this database contains? User information, group information, computer information, services information, okay, resources information. For example, I have a printer. The printer information also we can able to add here. Okay, so if I have a printer, I can able to add the printer information also. That is resource information. Now, thing is here, look at here. So today I want to log in user 1 here. Guys, user information is stored in a domain, not in the local PC. Okay, so here it is. We have to start writing from here. User information, meaning is username, password, stores in domain controller, centralized PC, domain controller in server. Okay, so next, computers joined in domain called domain computers. Okay. Users in domain called domain users. Very simple. Okay, these users U1, U2, U3, U4, U10 is a domain users. These are the domain controllers. So point is the domain users can log in to domain computers, log into in their domain computers. They can log into domain computers. For example, user 1 log into C1, user 2 log into C2, user 4 or user 5 log into C3, user 6 log into C4. Okay, that's a today duty, morning duty. So user 1 log in here, user 2, user 5, user 6, user 3 log in here. So point is, why I put a little distance I tell no. So here it is, user 7 want to log into this C6 PC. Can he log in? No, he cannot log in. Why? Why? Anyone? What is the condition of logging into domain computers? Very good. Kirti said correct answer. It is the C6, not a domain computer. What are the domain computers? C1, C2, C3, C4, C5. These are the domain computers. The C6 is connected in network, but not in the domain. C6 is not in the domain. So understand, C6 not in domain. So U7 cannot log in. Just like it is in some kind of note point. Here it is. Just understand the difference between the domain and workgroup. I need a very good point of shape, but it is a little difficult. No. Curve means how much curve it is. Oh, okay. No. curve is not a thing. Okay, so then guys, so I'm trying to draw, but drawing is not at all good. Okay, okay, whatever it is, round shape is good, but this is a fully curved shape. Yeah, it's okay. So what is this? This is the boundary. This is the boundary. So if I have a printer, I can have a printer also. Okay. So if I connect a printer here, for example, I connect a printer here. So for example, this name is printer. Name is P1. Okay, printer name is P1, and I connect it to the network. Okay, then it is just a printer. But if I add this as a resource, okay, so I add this one as a resource. Okay, P1. Now it is a P1 is belongs to domain resources. Okay, so this is the boundary. This is the boundary of a domain. And my domain having a domain name. For example, I can put a domain name contasso.com. For example, contasso.com, google.com, microsoft.com, lot of domain names are there. Okay, so this is a contasso.com domain. Domain having a domain name. Domain having a domain controller. Domain controller contains a database which contains users information, computer information, group information, resources information, and services information. Domain computers, the computers in the domain, so they will access the domain resources. They will access the domain resources, not outside one, not outside one, outside of the domain. Okay. Next, users in the domain can able to log into domain computers. And I given one example here. It is I can enforce a group policies like a policies to the computers or a users in the domain only. So here it is the point. I can enforce the settings to this only this. Okay, it is okay. Not listening to only these computers only, not outside of the computers. Okay, so we can enforce the policies like this, guys. Earlier, when we are discussed about a work group, in the work group, every PC having their own administrator, local administrator is there. But in this one, the administrator is domain administrator only. For example, my admin name is domain admin name is DC admin. Okay, or a domain controller. Okay, yeah, whatever it is, not written. Domain admin account. The people who are belongs to domain admin account or a domain administrator is admin for administrator for all devices in domain. Okay, in domain. So again, we are going to explain this thing, guys. Look at here. It is a centralized administration. I'm administrating everything from centrally. Okay, it is a centralized administration. Centralized controller, domain controller is a server, nothing but it is a server. Domain administrator is a admin for all the systems in the domain. We can enforce various type of settings to large number of users and computers in the domain using group policy. This is the actually definition of group policy. This is the actually definition of group policy, guys. What is group policy? Enforce various type of settings to large number of users, groups, users and computers in the domain. Very good. Why? Very good. Very good. The kid asked one question, right? So I said a domain name here. Is it required to buy this domain name? Yes. You require to purchase a domain name when you are putting this domain into the public. Guys, if you are domain controller in your private, so no public access, what are the name you want to put it, you can put it, or you can put a certain names also. For example, contaso.com is a suggestion from the Microsoft. You can use the contaso.com. It is not used in the public. Example.com, contaso.com, example.com, nwtraders.com, nwtraders.com, adatum.com. Okay, these domain names are for a lab purpose, private purpose, lab purpose, not for a production purpose, not for a public access purpose. But you want a public access, you have to purchase a domain name and register with a public IP address. Otherwise, we will not write a note point here. Some points we have to write. That is also good, right? What is the note point? Here it is. When we connect domain to public, or we are using for production. I have a lot of domain controllers I created, guys. In my system, in our virtual machines, I created a lot of domains and domain controllers. All are stick to the private only. No public access, no internet access, and I didn't use for production. I use for lab purpose. So in this case, first of all, you have to purchase domain name. You have to purchase a domain name and maps to, you have to purchase domain name and public IP address. You must have a public IP address, otherwise you cannot get access. You cannot get access. You know, this is the very important point. Use of cloud, Azure AD. What is the advantage of Azure AD? So that is, this point also will cover. You have to purchase IP address. You have to purchase domain name, and you should have a leased lines, dedicated network lines. Leased lines are nothing but a dedicated internet connection. Not public connection, it is a dedicated internet connection or dedicated network. Okay, why I put a network or internet? To understand what is a leased line. Leased lines are a directly you are connecting to ISP without using any broadband. Leased lines are different from broadbands. Okay. So we are using broadband internet connection. Yeah, who can able to buy domain name? Anyone can able to buy a domain name. So you can buy a domain name from internet. So like I want to buy a domain name. Okay, so usually domain names are specified here. Okay, in a usually in a GoDaddy or other places. Okay, so you can buy a domain names. The problem with this purchasing a domain name is most of these domain names for a website access purpose, URL purpose. Okay, URL purpose. Non-URL purpose domains you have to purchase. Like, you know, don't buy web hosting plus free domain. Okay, if you go to web hosting plus a free domain or a email domain, so problem is that is a web hosting purpose. Yeah, GoDaddy 99 per month kind of stuff, but actually different cost of domain is there. For these domains, You can say, see, 75 is also there. You can purchase the domain. Problem is you require a public IP address. This domain with the host kind of stuff. This is, yeah, 99 rupees. What is this? This is a free domain and email to match with the 12 months plan, including. So then it is one website like this. This is for a website related, not for a Active Directory related. So you have to purchase a domain name for Active Directory services, not for a this one. So then you have to buy like this. So go to just the domain name, not any other things. For example, I want to buy, yeah, Latif.com is there. You know, my .com I am trying is always Latif Tech Notes. In a WordPress, I have a website kind of stuff. Okay, see it is. It is for first year it is 499, 500 rupees for first, right? So it's a free web builder including and a free privacy protection forever. It is given. So white is great, something like that. And also you can see here it is first year with a 2-year registration means 150 plus 150. I got a in co.in 99 rupees. Okay, so remember these points also last editions .com, .org, .net, .xyz, .in, .co.in, like this. Okay, so remember those things. I will explain at a time of DNS. But these are most of these things are belongs to web builders kind of stuff. So then you have to compulsory check, not web builder. It is, guys. Look at here that lot of differences are there. Um, in a name kind of stuff. Okay, its name is just a name. This is the name. Name is for people who can able to easily access. Just a name only. But name related content, for example, you have a website, the web content should be there. So people, okay, people are trying to access with a name. This is the name, domain name. You purchase a domain name, right? But it's just a name only. So person is accessing with a name. Okay, so this name must be pointed to a host. Means the host is nothing but your web server which contain web pages. Okay, the name you have to map to the host. How to map to the host? The host should have a IP address. So you have to map the name and IP address. You have to purchase the name and you have to purchase the IP address, which is public IP address. Now it is linking like this. Okay, so a person is accessing with a name. So then request go with the IP address. Then he will reach the host. Then host will give you the information. Okay, this is name, IP address kind of stuff. Next, in case of domain controller, same thing. It is a host, nothing but a domain controller. The server having an IP address, the IP address is linked to here. Of course, the IP address also must have a public IP, which you have to purchase it and map the IP address to domain name. Okay, the names are maintained by some separate registry will be there, not by host. The names are maintained by separate host. Okay, you have to point out to this name. But the IP naming structure is different from a website name to domain controller name. So that some certain records are different. Name is same, IP is same. Records wise, little bit difference is there. So that is again we have to create in the DNS server. Name and IP address located in a DNS servers. So in this DNS server, you should have not only these records, some more additional records are there required for a domain controller access. So user is accessing with a name. Name will give you IP address. The IP address will point out to a host, which is nothing but domain controller. It will give you domain controller related authentication. So this it's I'm not trying to confuse you. If you got confused, no problem. But domain name should be purchased. If you are buying a domain name, what are the things you require? Like you are having an organization, you are having a organization, and you are want to implement domain environment. So what I have to do? You need to buy domain name, public IP address, and dedicated legal lines. For security, you require a firewall to control incoming and outgoing kind of stuff. You need a firewall. So leisure lines are dedicated lines. It is different from broadband. So broadbands, we are using internet. We are using broadband internet for internet access, but this is the dedicated lines. Broadbands are up to kind of stuff. It is stable. Leisure lines, I'm telling leisure line is a dedicated line, a stable internet speed. One point is internet speed. Broadband. Broadband is up to speed, up to maximum speed, up to maximum speed. Like an example, up to 50 Mbps. You will get an internet up to 50 Mbps. Okay, it can be a 10 Mbps, 20 Mbps. You purchase for 50 Mbps, you may get a 50 or a less. Okay, that is broadband. You purchase like this. For example, you take 10 Mbps, you'll get a 10 Mbps only. You purchase 50 Mbps, you may get 50 or lesser. It's up to maximum speeds, you will get it. So only depends on the morning 5 o'clock you open any website. Alright, morning 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. You went to go outside, check the traffic. Very less traffic, right? Very, like you want to reach the office, you started at 7:30, 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock. You'll reach office by time. Even little better earlier also. You are late. For example, it is already 9 o'clock. Then what happened? You reach office very late. You started at 8, 8:30. You reach by on time or little earlier. You are started at 9, 9:15, 9:30. You are already very, very late. Very late or very, very late. Why? Because traffic increases. The moment will be reduced. The speed will be reduced automatically. Okay. So depends upon your traffic. Broadband is dependent. This is not depends upon traffic. The topic is domain and workgroup. I went to the leisure line and broadband. So that's noted points, but guys, so you need a domain name and you need a public IP address and you need a leisure line. So to protect your network, we need a firewalls also. Leisure lines are different from your broadband. Broadband is variation of speed will be there, depends upon the network traffic. So leisure lines are a stable internet speed you are getting. It is a dedicated line, so just you have to pay extra. The cost is high. This is cost is less. Okay, so this is the points in the domain name. Okay, where are we? Here it is, guys. This is the group policy. Here it is. Users, computers, groups, services, resources, information stored in centralized system or a server called a domain controller. That is Active Directory database is this one. Domain user can log into any domain computer. Yeah, that's the point I'm missing here, guys. Morning, I log into user 1 here, user 2 here, user 5 here, 6 is here, user 3 here. Afternoon, I'm logging to like this. User, for example, user 4 are having a afternoon duty. User 7 having a afternoon duty. User 8 log in here. Okay. User 9 login here. User 10. So one system, these users are login. And it is interchangeable. It is interchangeable. How means the user 1 login here. Next day, user 1 is login to C2. User 5 is login to C5. User 4 is login to C1. Like that. So they can able to interchange, means user in the domain can log into any thing, any computer, any domain computer. Okay, users can log into their domain computer. Domain users can log into in their any domain computer. Any domain computers. So it's very easy. Instead of adding one more point, I manipulate the point here. Guys, so this is about your work group and the domain. Okay, it's a very simplest point. Why I didn't put this thing before I'm explaining. Okay, so I can easily put it right, but understanding is very important. Already I told that one. Understanding of concept is important. And next one is, it is another important question if you are going to any interview, technical interviews. So this is the very helpful for you. What is the work group? What is domain? Guys, difference between work group and domain. Work group is a decentralized administration. Domain is a centralized administration. In work group, no centralized control, but here it is a centralized control is there in the domain. The controller name is domain controller, is also nothing but a server only. In a work group, each and every PC has their own administrator, local administrator is there to administrate, manage the PCs. Who can control the individually, not centrally. Here it is. So domain administrator for all the systems in the domain. Okay. So domain user can log into any domain computer, but in a work group, the users in the PCs are not unable to log in. The PC's users cannot log into. Once PC's user cannot log into other PCs. User information, password information, user settings are stored in their own PCs. But here in the domain, username, passwords, their information stored in the central PC only. Okay, so we can enforce the settings locally here. Here it is, centralized enforcing settings to users and domains is called a group policies. Okay, so that is the difference between work group and domain. Guys, don't forget 2-3 points at least. Keep it in your mind, at least 3 to 4 points. Keep it in mind. Work group decentralized, domain centralized. No centralized control in the work groups. No particular centralized system don't control anything. In domain there is a domain controller, controls your users, groups, settings, and everything. Okay. In a work group, each and every PC itself administrator. They're having a local administrator administrate the PC. Okay. So work group having their own. Work group means a individual PC having their own administrator, and a user in the work group PC cannot log into any other PCs. Okay. So managed or controlled centrally, but cannot manage or control centrally. Okay. User information, their password settings stored in that PC only. That is a work group. When a domain, again, what are the important points? It is a centralized administration. Don't forget decentralized and centralized administration. Domain having a domain controller which controls your domain environment. Okay, user information, computer information, user passwords stores in the domain controller. Stores in the domain controller. Domain users can log into any domain computer. Okay, we can enforce various type of settings to the large group of users and computers. Okay, so that is a work group and domain. This is the explanation of work group. This is the explanation of domain. Okay, this is explanation of domain purchasing. This is okay, but still there is, when we are having a doubt sometimes, I don't want to disturb this PPT kind of stuff, so I don't put it. But I am realizing better to keep everything in one side at least, so then we can understand better. Okay, guys, this is about our group and domain. Here it is. Some more points are like this. What is Active Directory domain? Okay, like this. Okay, last point. This is for today. Okay, so don't worry. Guys, when you are saying about a domain, it is not just domain, it is a Active Directory domain. You are searching like some people, when I take in the classes, I ask the question, what is domain? Okay, ask the people after taking a class, after explaining what is a Active Directory domain. So after that one, ask this question, guys, what is a domain? And immediately what they will do it, they'll search in a domain. What is domain in the Google? Okay, so then it is domain is a domain. A domain name is a string that identify real of administrative autonomy, authority, or control within the internet. There is a, it is exactly meaningless something. Something, some people put a question like what is domain? Directly question. What is a domain? It's showing domain name, but not that one. So what is a domain? Some people like it. Area territory owned or controlled by particular your role or a government. In a computing, distinct subnet of internet with the address sharing common suffix are under control of particular organization or individual. Guys, this much time, almost like half an hour, I'm speaking about a domain work group. But is in this statement is suitable for any little bit? Nothing, right? So this is what happened. Searching in internet is not wrong, but search in a proper way and get the proper information. Understand that information. Please verify 1 or 2 times of that information. Okay? Yeah. So when you are searching for a domain, so compulsory search, like I'm not telling. Okay, searching in a Google is wrong. I'm telling search it in a proper way. Guys, never rely on only on notes, only on internet, only on Google. Rely on your brain. You're having an excellent brain, right? You have a brain. If you have a doubt, you open your skull and remove your brain and look at it and you will understand you have a brain. So that much only I can able to tell. Okay. So you have a brain. It can able to store petabytes of data. Even a normal computer cannot able to store that much data, but brain can able to store it. Brain can able to think it. Okay. So read it, understand it, take in examples, keep repeat it, keep practicing how to tell an answer. Then you will be, it is in your mind only. See, it is Active Directories domain is a collection of objects, Microsoft Active Directory network, a single user group, never like that it is given. See, it is when you are searching for a domain. So this is, you can go with the Active Directory domain. So it is given at least some what we are discussed, that a directory hierarchical structure that stores information about objects on network. But what is the object? What is an object? User is an object, computer is an object, group is an object, like that. Okay. So guys, simple thing is, what is a Active Directory domain? Is a logical administrative boundary of users and computers. Logical administrative boundary of users and computers. What is a logical administrative boundary? See, it is, I have written, I have put a one, I draw something like this, right? Means this is the domain controller, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, and a printer one is belongs to domain, not C6, not a C6. It is a not in my boundary, but physically it is connected, but logically not. So that is called a logical administrative boundary. Logical administrative boundary, not physical administrative boundary. Logically, these devices are belongs to domain. So that is the point of logical administrative boundary of anyone who want a site. No requirement. What does that mean? I didn't get the point. Okay. So last point, guys, logical administrative boundary of users and computers. Okay. So that is the definition of a domain. Mainly, we are in the Active Directory. So Active Directory norm is a logical administrative boundary of users and computers. Active Directory database. What is Active Directory? Active Directory is a Microsoft service. It's a Microsoft service. Okay, Active Directory is a Microsoft service. Active Directory database store identity of users, computers, groups, services, resource information, and Active Directory authenticate users. So I am highlighting these 2 points only, but entire point is very important. Active Directory database stores information, and Active Directory also do authenticate users and computers when they log into domain. Again, guys, Active Directory database, Active Directory database stores identity of users, computers, groups, services, and resources information. In the database, it contains the user information, computer information, group information, services information, resources like a printer kind of information. Next, Active Directory also provides a service called authentication service. When user is login, here it is a diagram, right? When user 1 log into C1, the request go to where is this? The request go to Active Directory. The request go to Active Directory. Active Directory authenticate. Active Directory do authentication and give yes, you can able to access it. Okay. So user, whenever this user, what happened to this? User information in this one. Okay, user when they log in, they send to information that it will send to the domain controller for verifying user information. Why? But because of C1 don't have a information of user 1 or user 2 or user 3 or any domain users. Domain user information located in domain controller. Okay, domain user contains information in domain controller only. So when domain user log into the domain computers, domain controller verify the user identity. Yeah, this is the point I will add here. So you can try this one. Domain user login to domain computer. Domain controller authenticate user means verify user identity. Authenticate a user means verifying user identity. Guys, there is a small part is also there, right? I has given few things, right? I am putting a little down. What is the difference between authentication? What is the difference between authentication and authorization? Okay, small, both are auth only, but it is authentication. Another one is authorization. So it's a small spelling mistake. Authorization. Okay. EO. This part will change. Okay, so it is, what is the difference between authentication and authorization, guys? Authentication means verifying of identity, verification of identity, like username and password. What is authentication? Verify identity, like username and password. Verify username and password. So make sure there is. So then if there are okay, it is authenticated. There are authenticated. Now what is the authorization? Anyone? Authorization.
The person who provide the authentication.
Okay, you got
The organization.
authenticated. Yellow.
Authorization. Authorization means the organization or a person will provide the permission to the respective user.
Very good. Yellow or a deny. The person will do like authorization. You are authorized to access. Okay, your authorization will tell about whether you are yellow or a deny. Like different ways you can accessing permissions. Very good. Okay, so what is the authorization? Authorization means I am giving access permission. Okay, you are allowed. Yeah, welcome to home. Like that. Okay, you put a username and password. Like you want to join in the session. I given username and password. So you given username and password. You are authorized. You are authenticated. You are giving username password correct means you will get authenticated. Once you are authenticated, then you are allowed to access. That allowed to access is authorization. Allowed to access is authorization. Guys, it is very simple, not a difficult one. It is very simple and most common. But only when we required, like if someone is asking an interview, example, like if someone is an interview or a general discussion, we won't get this thing in mind. Okay, that's why I'm telling. So check it compulsory. What is authentication and what is authorization? Authentication means when you are login or when you are like you went to office, swiping card is there. You swipe the card. It will verify your identity. Swiping card is, it is verify your identity, right? Or you put a thumb. It will verify your identity. That is called authentication. The process is called authentication process. Then door opens. Door is unlock. So then you can go inside, right? So that is called a authorization. That is called a authorization. Okay. So that is a very tiniest difference. Authentication and authorization. It authenticates users and computers when they log into domain. Of course, it will do authorization also. The Active Directory database name is NTDS.DIT. I think I didn't given why I didn't given about it. NT always new technology. New technology directory, not domain, directory service dot directory information. Okay, that is the database name. Earlier names are different. Now the name is different. So from 2003 onwards, I think so. NTDS.DIT. So no. Active Directory database name is from 2000. It is NTDS.DIT. In NT it is different. Okay. So Active Directory database name is NTDS.DIT. Authentication protocols. Authentication, it is authenticated. Database stores. This is the database name. Authenticate, how it is authenticate? Using some protocols, right? The protocol is Kerberos and LDAP protocols use it to authenticate users. The Kerberos is one of the powerful authentication protocol. If you search in a Google, what is the Kerberos as per a Harry Potter, then you will get it. You know, in a Harry Potter first part, there is a Kerberos is there. It's nothing but a three-headed dart. In Harry Potter movie, this kind of dog is there. No, you can see this. Three heads are there. It's not does not allow. It is sits on a one door like this. This is the way to go down to some chamber, right? So right. So this is the dog. We call this one as it's a kind of ancient dog. So this is called a Kerberos. So without authentication, you cannot go. Okay. So that is why the Kerberos name put it like this. Now it's not after a Harry Potter movie. It is earlier than Harry Potter only. But point is, it's an ancient name of three-headed dogs for authentication protocol. So how I know it is because of the textbooks. Not Harry Potter textbook, not novel textbook. It is I read it this thing from 2008 server textbook. Okay, that time I'm very interested to learn. Now we are very interested in Netflix. It is Microsoft service, of course, and it is Active Directory domain services. Name changed. Earlier Active Directory name is started. Active Directory name is at 2000. Now name changed to Active Directory domain services from 2008 server. Guys, when you are coming to the Active Directory, there is an Active Directory from the cloud services there. It is a Azure AD, Microsoft Public Cloud. Azure is a Microsoft Public Cloud. From Azure, you are getting a Active Directory service that is called Azure AD. Active Directory services from Azure Cloud. What is this advantage of cloud Azure AD over the regular domain controller? Guys, here it is. You have a domain controller, means you need a physical server, and you have to install a operating system in it, means Windows Server operating system. Do it. The cost, calculate the cost. Server cost, operating system cost, maintenance cost, domain controller. Okay, you got a question, right? So what is your question? It is, do you want to buy a domain name? Yes. Domain name cost, public IP address cost, dedicated legal lines cost. Okay, again, for network security cost, managing people. Okay, this much of cost burden on the people. Next, guys, this is a server, single server. What happen if the server is down? Anybody? Server is down. What happen? Client don't get a authentication. No authentication, no authorization, no services. Right? So you again, what we need, you need a more domain controllers to, if in case one domain controller is down, additional domain controller, that's the name is secondary domain controller, that is secondary domain controller. This is primary and we will get a secondary. The secondary domain controller will help you to complete the process, to do the work, continue the work, help you to continue the work. But again, another server. You have an additional server means you have a additional physical server and operating system. So what is the advantage of Azure AD? So it is very easy. You don't require to maintain a physical server. No need to purchase a physical server, physical operating system, and a network, domain name, IP address, legal lines. These many things you need to buy. Of course, need a name for a domain name. You need a name. Okay, you need an IP address if you want to buy a dedicated IP address. Okay, if you otherwise, you can use which is provided by Active user only. So Azure AD is an Active Directory service from the Microsoft Cloud service. It is. We can go to directly Azure Microsoft products, go to Azure AD, log in and pay amount Like you have 100 users are there. You have 100 users in the domain or 1,000 users, whatever it is. Simple. Go to Azure website. So Azure, Microsoft Azure Cloud, and create your domain and add your users, add your computers. Okay. The number of users increases, bill increases. Number of users are less, bill is less. Very simple. And user not required to connect the local network. User can be connect through internet. So you don't need to maintain VPN access, network securities, local in network kind of stuff only. That kind of stuff not required. Okay. The domain names you will buy anyway from either from directly from Azure or from any public domain name services. Public IP addresses you want to buy, you can buy. Otherwise, you can use Azure's public IP services also. Okay, so users, either a number of users are 100 or 1,000 or 10,000. Only thing is you have to go to open Azure portal and add those users only. And you have to pay number of users in the domain wise only. Okay, number of users in the domain only. So it is a heavy scalable infrastructure. It is. Guys, I hope you got little bit point. So yeah, I will close it. It is already about to 2 o'clock. So what we are discussed just before, since morning we discussed about a servers. But once again, I will tell important is what is work group, what is domain, what is the difference between work group and domain. So common point, centralized administration, decentralized and centralized administrations. Okay, centralized administrator, each individual PC having their own administrator. User information stored in local PC, user information stored in a centralized PC. User is authenticated by local PC, user is authenticated by central PC only. That is called a difference between work group and domain. Okay, and another point is what is Active Directory domain. It is a logical administrative boundary of users and computers. Okay, and it is maintained by domain is maintained by domain controller. So what is the domain controller? How it is become domain controller? By installation of Active Directory. So there is two things about Active Directory. Important two things. Okay, so common thing is Microsoft service. That is not nothing, actually not a meaning. It is, of course, it is a Microsoft related service, but important two things are Active Directory database stores information of identity of users, computers, groups, services, and resources information, and it authenticate users when they log into the domain. Okay, two things it will do. It store the user information and authenticate users. Very simple, right? So different names, Active Directory name, database name is NTDS.DIT, authentication protocol Kerberos, of course. Okay, so that is Active Directory domain services kind of stuff. Next, Azure AD. Point is I added here extra is Azure AD, Active Directory from Active Directory services from Azure cloud. It is a public cloud. Instead of maintaining domain controller, operating system, server, physical server, network connections, network access, public IP addresses, leased lines. So we can simply go to Azure AD. We can mark on it. Of course, this on-premises, off-premise cloud services. That's the point I trying to do it. Okay, here is one picture I draw here. So already I given a picture of domain, so then I don't require to give it. So next class, guys, if possible, I will explain DHCP DNS services. Already I shared this PPT. Please go through once. It is very helpful for you. If you don't understand, you can use the videos or just read it and leave it. Also, no problem. Okay. Anything, guys? Any questions or anything? Or okay, happy, thank you, bye bye. Okay, only very few people are left now. On today Saturday. I think afternoon class won't be there. Afternoon is today is a Saturday. Said already. I told today is a not a working day for us, for me, for anyone in organization. But I'm working. Why we should waste the time on a holidays? Okay, on unnecessary holidays. Okay, guys, bye bye. Is anyone is there? Yeah, Marjit, Shrans, Kirti, Prince, Mansi, thank you guys. Thank you for staying up to last minute. Okay. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye, sir. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a nice day and happy weekend. I killed half of the weekend, but no problem.